What is the most inoffensive thing you've seen someone get offended by? Maybe 22 years ago, I had a phone interview with a baking company. I didn't care to have my peers know what I was up to, so I took the call on my cell phone in my car. The call was crystal clear and no technical issues. At one point, they had mentioned the weather and asked how it was where I was. I told him that I was sitting in my car and I could see that it was actively snowing and whatnot. The interviewer asked me, "Are you taking this call on a cell phone?" I told him I was. Then he asked me if I thought that was appropriate. I asked him what he meant by that. He said he thought it was kind of rude to take a formal call on a cell phone. I told him I would be more than happy to conclude the interview if talking on a cell phone was an issue. If he was interested, I'd be happy to continue it the next day when I'd be at a desk. He again repeated how rude he thought it was that I had called from a cell phone and that there was no need to continue the interview process. I disagreed with the first point, but did agree with the second. To this day, I wonder what the hell he was talking about and where he was coming from. Probably just got over the fact that telephones exist and wasn't ready to accept the fact that mobile phones aren't a thing made by the devil. If you're religious and ignorant enough, everything is made by the devil. While working tech support back during the .com boom, I had a customer get upset with me over the use of the word icon. He said it had religious implications and he insisted I call Windows icons little picture things. Off topic, but this reminds me of my 4-year-old niece who calls commercials skip ads. Editing to add that all these upvotes and awards have made my niece feel so special. She doesn't have any clue what 15,000 upvotes means or what Reddit is, but she's running around in absolute delight that so many people think she's funny. I've been reading most of these comments to her. To be fair, every time they come up there's a label in the bottom right that says skip ads. What's it going to be other than a label? A button? That would be ridiculous. I got in trouble in kindergarten for saying the word dead. Apparently it was too violent. My siblings are monitored on their phones for safety. Don't worry Reddit, I'm the one who controls it, and I'm sure it's not extreme or detrimental to them. My sister got an alert for violence. The culprit? A picture of mouthwash. I had a friend who had parental controls on his computer, and it kicked in when he looked up a fingering chart for band. Had someone get offended by me calling my brother bro. They insisted that I was racist and that white people can't be related to Mexicans. Like seriously lady, that's not how genetics work. We are 100% related and are a mix of white and Native American. It's not that unheard of for one biological sibling to come out lighter or darker than the other. And even if we weren't related, seriously? I'm racist for calling someone close to me my bro despite being different skin tones? Seriously? Thank you for coming to my rant session. Have a good day. I had someone scoff and ask me how I, a white person, have a Latina cousin. It's like they don't realize two people of different races can have kids together. My sister and I look about as much alike as Thor and Loki. Same parents. We just scored really different genes. Teachers didn't believe us when we told them we were sisters. Genetics are weird sometimes, sorry. At my wedding we marked the vegetarian items as vegetarian. This made the one vegetarian at my wedding, sister-in-law who hates me, fly into a catatonic rage because we are singling out the vegetarian food as vegetarian and not treating it as normal food. Then how the frick are they supposed to know it's vegetarian? Yikes, that's a ridiculous thing to blow up at someone about, and she doesn't even make sense. It's definitely easier when the food is labeled as vegetarian/vegan/etc, so you don't have to ask. I hope you don't have to deal with that particular sister-in-law as much since your wedding. AHHC, this is where you went wrong. They want to be able to ask, so then everybody knows they're vegetarian. Sandwich. I kid you not. My ex-husband was given a sandwich by our then 13-year-old daughter, and because she cut the sandwich he went off on a massive strop about how his sandwiches should never be cut, etc. The poor kid's face. She was crushed. It still winds me up no end every time I think about it. I can't believe things didn't work out between you two. He seems lovely. I laughed out loud at this comment. Thank you for that. This is within a year after the DADT repeal. Part of the repeal was that, obviously, you can't make fun of people for their sexual preference, so calling people gay was out. Was getting directions to a coworker's house. He lived on Gay Street. Our supervisor got belligerent about how we can't say that, even after explaining how it was the street name. I love that his takeaway from don't make fun of people for being gay was, don't even say the word gay. That's some Michael Scott crap. This is sadly how America seems to be trying to be more inclusive and sensitive. Not by actually being more inclusive and sensitive, but overall strictly demonizing words and semantics. The attitudes on both sides reek of authoritarianism in different forms. I once listened to my boss try to lecture the fire marshal because he was talking about something being flame retardant. Her reasoning was you should just call it fireproof because retardant was an awful word. It was one of those times where I really should have tried to stop her, but instead I just stood off to the side, probably making a surprised Pikachu face. I got an angry call from a client at the vet hospital I used to work at. She was angry that the doctor had written in her dog's chart something along the lines of chemotherapy has retarded the growth of the tumor. She was deeply offended that the vet called her dog retarded. Mom, your dog isn't retarded, you are. This guy at a Halloween party I was at was dressed in a giant bacon costume. Some girl was yelling at him for being so offensive toward Jews and Muslims. She was neither Jewish nor Muslim. One of the Muslim guys at the party asked her what the frick she was talking about, but she didn't back down, lol. I have no idea why people feel they need to go out of their way to be, inaccurately, offended on behalf of other cultures/religions. Reminds me of a news story I saw a while ago. A Muslim family moved to a mostly white town. The white people decided it would help them feel more welcome if they removed every book from the library that had anything to do with pigs or bacon. I guess, just because you can't eat it, you shouldn't see it or read about it either. I mean, they're a little confused, but they've got the spirit. My parents are abusive and have called my sisters and I every name in the book. Pretty sure idiot was said to me more than my name. In a fight, my sister called my dad a fool when he was throwing a hissy fit. He flipped his crap and couldn't fathom being called something more offensive. He called me and told me what she said, and I laughed at him. Now my sister and I laugh all the time about how crazy our parents are. One time my dad told me to go to bed. I said, "Oh, man," a common colloquial expression of disappointment. He grounded me for addressing him as man instead of dad. What? My dad once got mad because he called me a son of a bitch and I laughed. I had a coworker who got mad at me because I asked her not to tickle me. That's inappropriate at work. B. We are not children. We are not in a relationship. We are not family. C. I don't like being tickled. She flipped out and said everyone likes being tickled and I was being mean to her. Happily my boss had my back. Also, some people start swinging punches when they get tickled. It's not safe to do it to anyone randomly. I kick when tickled, so yeah, I agree. People get very offended that I don't like being touched. Right here. My dad thinks it's funny to keep grabbing my knee in the car, and I guess seeing how much he can piss me off, he knows I don't like to be touched. OMG. My dad constantly messes with me and my stepmom and thinks it's so funny when we get mad off. I know he doesn't mean it to be mean or creepy or anything, but just stop already. One of the big things for me has always been that I hated people touching my hair, and people would do it all the damn time, even after I politely asked them not to. Is it so hard to just not touch someone else without their permission? It's specific to France. In French we have a way to address for a man, monsieur, a married woman, madame, an unmarried woman, mademoiselle, and we used to have one for an unmarried man, mon damoiseau, which disappeared from official paperwork since I don't even know when. In the name of gender equality, mademoiselle was also removed a few years ago from official paperwork. Also in the name of gender equality, some employee were told to not call young women mademoiselle anymore and to go with madam. So the trick is, some women will get offended when called madam because it makes them feel old, and some women will get offended when called mademoiselle because it's sexist. Clerks are doomed. I took French classes for 2 years and all 3 of my French teachers, to actually being from France, never taught us mon damoiseau. I had no clue that was a thing. Lol, that's so cool. Over here in the States we only have Mr. for the men and Mrs., Miss, and Miss for the women, and it all depends on if they are married or not. It's a bit annoying. Actually, if you want to be incredibly formal, or just southern, the term for a male child is master, and miss for females. But obviously, that's not really a thing these days, unless your grandmother made you take formal lessons in manners, etc. Using a walking stick. I was in a car accident a few years ago and it fricked my leg up. Since then I've been using a walking stick. I was walking to shop, pre-pandemic, and an old bloke gave me the dirtiest look I've ever seen. What do you need a cane for? You're only a kid. He actually got quite pissy just seeing me using a stick. Like, my dude, I'm just out trying to buy some milk. I don't need your crap today. I didn't say that out loud. I just said it to myself after I got home. Tell him the car crash didn't ask for your ID first. I wouldn't be able to come up with this even in the shower. A freaking picture of an eye. We have an organization-wide theme every year and all the PCs on our network have the same background and theme which can't be changed. So this year's theme is Vision is 2020 and the background was a zoomed in picture of an eye in really awesome colors. 2 women on staff wrote letters to complain that the picture was heathen as it drew from Illuminati imagery and paid tribute to the all-seeing eye of Egyptian deities. They whined and complained to such an extent that the picture was eventually changed to shut them up and let the normal folks get back to our actual work. This clearly proves how much of an idiot these women were. The Illuminati eye is always depicted within a triangle, which I'm safely assuming wasn't the case. Maybe they had those triangular monitors that came out a few years ago. My dad loves to tell the story of how, shortly after they were married, he and mom went to get some fast food. As they pulled up to the drive-thru window, my very conservative mom saw a sign that said condiments available upon request and said, "OMG, that's disgusting. Why would a restaurant feel the need to give those out?" She had misread it and thought they were giving out condoms upon request. Even if it did say condoms, they're in a package, right? It's not like they are giving out used ones. If they were giving out condoms, which they weren't, well, our biz has to make horsey sauce somehow. One of my coworkers was surprised and said, "Oh my god." A religious coworker overheard her using God's name in vain and reported it to ours. They had to have meetings with ours and the managers about respecting people's religion. The lady said, "Oh my god, she didn't wish for the death of Christianity for frick's sake. It was ridiculous." Fun fact, according to my cultural background study Bible, taking God's name in vain didn't even mean no swearing with the name of God. It meant don't use God's name to place magical curses on people. Doesn't it also include doing/saying things that bring you personal gain in the name of God? For example, falsely claiming to have a relationship or interaction with God to get money and power in order to rule over the faithful. A modern example being a politician campaigning around carrying a Bible despite showing they have little to no knowledge of the religion nor following many of its core tenets. Looks like this hit too close to home for a couple people. One Easter Sunday, a lady in church was wearing a hat that had the Easter bunny, chicks, and colored eggs as part of its design. The woman in the pew behind her took umbrage, telling the lady that Easter was about the resurrection of Jesus from the dead, not about silly rabbits, chicks, and eggs. I want to see her hat next year that depicts the whipping and crucifixion of Jesus. There has to be an Etsy shop that provides that. I'll get a hat for my mother-in-law. My mom got mad because, and I quote, "she never asks me for money," referring to me. I'm sorry, would you rather I constantly bug you for cash so I can buy candy and crap? Since she's apparently offering, take advantage of it. As much as I would love to, my siblings take her money and shell guilt trip them over every penny, and honestly I don't have the energy to care. Lol, she only does nice things to remind everyone how awesome and generous she is. Sporks. I once heard someone say the spork is the devil's utensil because it is the amalgamation of the masculine fork and the feminine spoon and is trying to blur gender lines in society. Some people have too much time on their hands to think of stupid crap. That's some top-notch satire. If it wasn't said seriously, I might have to start saying that. We used an app at work called Bonfire. One person refused to use it because bonfires are for witchcraft and pagans. or for, people who are camping. I don't think all campers are pagans, but I could be wrong. See, you're getting your fires mixed up. Campfires are for camping, bonfires are for rituals. I still remember in kindergarten when my friend and I were reading all the colors out loud on one of those Crayola super packs. I got straight up yelled at and sent to the principal's office for saying orange pizzazz because the teacher said I called someone a pissass and would not listen despite having the crayon as evidence. After a 30-minute scolding and waiting for my mom to leave work to pick me up for my suspension, she came in all apologetic. When I explained to her the whole situation, not the school's side, Ma went apacrap. I'd heard her say crap once, that's the only swear I ever heard from her, and we had just been rear-ended in traffic. How about idiot? Can he say idiot? Cause you're all being idiots right now. This is freaking ridiculous. And just went off while I'm sitting there all, oh, and the principal has just read F. I got UN suspended on the spot, but she pulled me out of school for the day anyway. We had a lovely day and she explained very well how I shouldn't swear like that unless absolutely necessary, and I've exhausted all civility. When being civil simply isn't working, sometimes you might have to call someone a pissass. The next day at school, I learned that I now had the stigma of being the kid who got the Crayola super pack taken away. That is ridiculous to punish such a young child so harshly, even if you had actually said pissass. And to take away the whole pack of crayons? Jesus, just take out orange pizzazz. Reminds me of the time a babysitter misheard me say Santa Claus is a peanut, don't ask, and yelled at me for calling Santa a peen. I was 5, and it made me cry. I spent 9 hours deep cleaning the house for an inspection. I went above and beyond, clearing my work schedule and going the extra mile, and my roommate double checked my work. He had a complete psychotic meltdown because I forgot to sweep underneath the couch. I moved out the next day and never spoke to him again. I once lost a good chunk of my security deposit on an apartment that was spotlessly clean. When we moved out, we got dinged because we didn't clean the fireplace. It didn't occur to us to clean the fireplace because we had never once used it. We left the fireplace in exactly the same state it was in when we moved in. They didn't care about the fireplace. They just wanted to keep your money. In school I referred to someone while talking and pointed at them and was told off for pointing a finger. Out of character for the teacher. She must have had a bad day or something. Dude, I got kicked out of class for yawning. I literally never did anything bad in class before. Imagine a random quiet kid just getting told off and booted from class for being tired. I went to school with a kid that was always getting kicked out of class for sneezing. He had one of those really loud ones and bad allergies. It was apparently very disruptive and unnecessary. Someone posted a video about 9/11 and someone commented, "Please take this down. You're not from New York. You will never understand this pain." She said this as if only people from New York were in the World Trade Center. As someone who was born post 9/11 and is from the New York City area, this mentality is very common. We were taught that 9/11 was our tragedy and people who weren't from the area would never understand how it affected us. A lot of people romanticize the idea of being so close to the tragedy. Guy from DC here checking in to remind everyone that the Pentagon got hit as well.